Love. Was love supposed to hurt like this? Was love supposed to make her question everything she once believed? She shook her head. Love isn't enough. Love isn't just words, Toby. It's actions. And your actions showed me exactly where I stood. Our men will stain your white. Men will do you dirty. It is the men's world. That is what they always say. Forgetting that we all have hearts. We are all flesh and blood. No heart is made of iron. Please subscribe to our channel, also turn on the notification. Join me as we journey with Ige through her journey. Knife's heels clicked against the marble floor as she entered Lagos' most exclusive restaurant. She had been here many times before, but tonight felt different. Tonight, she would face the truth. Toby was already seated at their usual table, his broad shoulders tense. He looked good as always, his sharp jawline and well-groomed beard gave him a confident air. But tonight, there was something else in his eyes. Guilt. She slid into the seat across from him and wrapped her fingers around the stem of her wine glass. She had rehearsed this moment 100 times, but now that she was here, words felt heavy on her tongue. Finally, she spoke. Why did you do it? Toby exhaled and looked down. His fingers drummed against the table, his usual habit when he was nervous. I never meant to hurt you, Nife. She let out a short laugh, but there was no humor in it. That's not an answer. I asked why you did it. There was a little silence between them. The soft jazz playing in the background seemed distant, almost mocking. Then, he spoke again. I was weak. I let temptation get the best of me. Nife couldn't believe her ears, but she had to hold herself together. She already knew the truth, but hearing it from him made it hurt even more. It wasn't just anyone. It was with her best friend. The woman she had trusted like a sister. I loved you, Toby, she whispered. I trusted you. I still love you, he said, reaching for her hand. She pulled away. Love. Was love supposed to hurt like this? Was love supposed to make her question everything she once believed? She shook her head. Love isn't enough. Toby's eyes were desperate. Can we at least try? Nife hesitated. Memories rushed through her mind, the laughter, the late-night calls, the promises. But now, those memories were stained with pain. Forgiveness. People said it set you free. But could she ever truly forget? Could she look at him and not see the betrayal? She stood, pushing back her chair. I don't know, she said. But I do know I deserve better. Toby's face fell, but she didn't stay to see the rest. She turned and walked away, her head high, her heart heavy. Maybe this was the end. Or maybe, it was the beginning of something new. Nife walked out of the restaurant, the night air cool against her skin. The lights of Lagos glowed around her, but inside, she felt empty. Her driver was waiting, but she didn't get in. You can go home, Mr. Joseph. I will be fine. My greetings to your family. She walked aimlessly with no place in mind to go. She needed to clear her head, to walk off the heaviness in her chest. She pulled out her phone and stared at the screen. Messages from friends, work emails, and one unread message from her best friend, Kimi. The woman who had betrayed her. Nife, please. Let me explain. Nife scoffed. Explain what? That she had been lying all along. That the late-night hangouts and whispered conversations weren't as innocent as she claimed. She locked her phone and slipped it into her purse. She wasn't ready for this. The walk home was longer than she expected. When she finally reached her apartment, she kicked off her heels and collapsed onto the couch. The silence of the room was deafening. For years, she had built a life with Toby, dreamed of a future with him. Now, all of that was gone. A knock on the door startled her. She wasn't expecting anyone. Heart pounding, she stood up and peered through the peephole. Kimi. Nife's fingers hovered over the lock. A part of her wanted to swing the door open and scream at her. Another part wanted to pretend she wasn't home. Another knock. Softer this time. Nife, I know you're in there. Please, just talk to me. Nife took a deep breath and opened the door. Kimi looked nothing like the confident, stylish woman Nife had always known. Her eyes were red and puffy, her makeup smudged. I messed up, she said, voice trembling. Nife folded her arms. That's an understatement. I didn't plan for this to happen. Kimi wiped at her face. Toby and I, it was a mistake. Nife let out a bitter laugh. A mistake? How was it a mistake? How long did this mistake last? Kimi looked down. For 6 months. Kimi. 6 good months, half a year of lies, of pretending, of looking me in the eye and acting like nothing was wrong. I'm sorry, Nife. I hate myself for what I did. Nife stared at her, trying to understand. Why, Kimi? You were my best friend. I trusted. You were like my own sister. Tears rolled down Kimi's face. I was jealous. You had everything. You had Toby, your career, your life was perfect, and I felt invisible. Nife clenched her jaw. So that was it. Envy. And did betraying me make you feel better? Go on and have a perfect life then if taking him makes your life perfect. Kimi shook her head. No. It ruined everything. I lost you. I lost myself. Nife sighed, exhausted. She had dreamed of this confrontation, of shouting and slamming doors. But now, standing here, she just felt tired. Go home, Kimi, she said, stepping back. I can't do this right with you anymore. Kimi nodded, her shoulders slumping. I understand. She hesitated. I hope one day you'll forgive me. Nife didn't answer. She simply closed the door. As she leaned against it, she realized something. Maybe forgiveness wasn't about setting the other person free. Maybe it was about setting herself free. But she wasn't there yet. Not tonight. Nife had barely slept. The confrontation with Kimi played in her mind like a broken record. She had dreamed of screaming, of making Kimi feel the same pain she felt. But all she had felt in that moment was exhaustion. Now, sitting in her office, she stared at her computer screen without really seeing it. The words blurred together. Her assistant, Chika, walked in, placing a document on her desk. Madam, your 2 p.m. meeting has been pushed to 3. Nife nodded absent-mindedly. All right, thanks. Chika hesitated. Are you okay, Ma? You seem distracted. Nife forced a smile. I'm fine. Just a lot on my mind. Chika left, but Nife knew she wasn't convincing anyone. She reached for her phone and opened WhatsApp. Her unread messages from Toby and Kimi stared back at her. She had ignored them both since last night. But she knew she couldn't avoid them forever. Her phone buzzed. A call from an unknown number. She hesitated before picking up. Hello. Nife, please don't hang up, Kemi's voice came through. I know you don't want to talk to me, but I need to see you. One last time. Nife clenched her jaw. Why? What else is there to say? Please. Just meet me at our spot. At the Haven, 7 p.m. She wanted to say no, to cut Kimi off forever. But something in her heart needed closure. Fine. One last time. The Haven was their favorite spot, a quiet cafe tucked away in Ikoyi. A place filled with good memories, now tainted by betrayal. Kimi was already there, waiting nervously, twisting the napkin in her hands. She stood when she saw Nife. Thanks for coming. Nife sat down without responding. Say what you need to say, Kemi. Kimi swallowed hard. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I just need you to know. It wasn't about Toby. It was about me. My insecurities. I saw your life, your success, and I felt like I was failing. And I hated myself for it. But instead of working on myself, I did something terrible. Something I can never take back. Nife's heart ached. You were my best friend, Kemi. My sister. If you felt that way, why didn't you just talk to me? Because I was ashamed, Kimi whispered. And by the time I realized what I had done, it was too late. Silence hung between them. Nife wanted to hate her. But she also saw the pain in Kimi's eyes, the regret. I don't know if I can ever forgive you, Nife finally said. But I hope you find a way to forgive yourself. Tears welled up in Kemi's eyes. That means more than you know. Nife stood up. Goodbye, Shimi. This time, when she walked away, she felt lighter. The wounds were still there, but maybe, just maybe, they would heal. The days following Knife's meeting with Kimi were filled with conflicting emotions. She had walked away from Kimi, but the weight of betrayal still lingered. Forgiving Kimi felt impossible, yet holding on to the pain only made her feel more trapped. At work, she buried herself in projects, determined not to let her personal life affect her professional success. But even as she sat in boardrooms, discussing numbers and strategies, her mind kept drifting back to the past. One evening, after another exhausting day at the office, she found herself driving aimlessly through Lagos. She didn't want to go home. Home was too quiet, too full of memories. Before she even realized it, she had driven to Lekki Beach. The ocean breeze was strong, the sound of waves crashing against the shore soothing. She kicked off her heels and walked towards the water, letting the cold waves lap at her feet. "Didn't think I'd find you here." Knife turned sharply. Toby stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets, watching her. "What do you want, Toby?" she asked, exhaustion lacing her voice. He took a step closer. "To talk. To explain." She let out a bitter laugh. "You already did. You were weak. You let temptation get the best of you. What more is there to say?" Toby exhaled. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I regret everything, Knife. Losing you has been the hardest thing I've ever had to face." Knife studied him. His usually confident posture was replaced by something she wasn't used to, vulnerability. But was it real? Or was it just guilt? "You regret it now because you lost me," she said. "But did you regret it while you were sneaking around with Kimi? My own best friend, Toby, my very own best friend. You didn't see any other lady, you did me dirty. Did you regret it when you looked me in the eye every day and lied?" Toby flinched but didn't look away. He didn't know what to say. "I was selfish. I made a mistake. And I know I can't undo it. But Knife, I swear, I still love you." Love. That word again. She sighed. "Love isn't just words, Toby. It's actions. And your actions showed me exactly where I stood." He took another step closer. "If you ever find it in your heart to give me a second chance, I swear I'll spend the rest of my life proving myself to you." Knife shook her head. "I don't know if I can ever trust you again." Toby's face fell, but he nodded. "I understand. Just promise me you'll at least think about it." She didn't respond. Instead, she turned back to the water, her thoughts swirling like the waves. She was at a crossroads. One path led to forgiveness, the other to moving on. But which was the right choice? As the wind carried Toby's footsteps away, Knife knew that no one could make the decision for her. Not Toby, not Kemi. Only she could decide what she truly wanted. And starting from now on, she was ready to put herself first. Knife spent the next few weeks in deep reflection. The confrontation with Kimi, the conversation with Toby, the betrayal, all of it had left scars. But she was beginning to realize that holding on to the pain was exhausting. One Saturday morning, she sat on the balcony of her apartment, sipping a cup of tea as she watched the sunrise. The golden light spread across Lagos, bathing everything in warmth. New day. A new beginning. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from her pastor, a simple quote. "Forgiveness does not excuse their behavior. Forgiveness prevents their behavior from destroying your heart." She exhaled deeply. She had been asking herself the wrong question all along. It wasn't about whether Kimi or Toby deserved her forgiveness. It was about whether she deserved peace. That afternoon, she made a decision. She picked up her phone and dialed Kimi's number. The phone rang twice before Kimi answered, her voice hesitant. "Knife. I just wanted to say that I forgive you," Knife said, her voice steady. There was a moment. Silence. And then a sharp intake of breath. "You do?" "Yes, Kemi," Knife said. "Not because you deserve it, but because I refuse to let it control me anymore." Kemi let out a quiet sob. "I don't deserve your kindness." "Maybe not. But I deserve peace," Knife replied. "And I'm choosing to move on." They didn't talk long. There was nothing else to say. "Goodbye, Kimi," and with that she hung up, but when Knife hung up, she felt a weight lifting peace inside her. A few days later, She met Toby at a small cafe. He looked surprised when she agreed to meet him, but there was no bitterness in her heart anymore when she sat across from him. "I forgive you, Toby," she said simply. Toby blinked, as if he hadn't expected those words. "You do?" "Yes. But that doesn't mean we can go back to the way things were." Regret flickered across his face, but he nodded. "I understand. I never thought I would lose you. I never wanted to lose you like this." "You lost me the moment you chose to sleep with my best friend," she said softly. "But I won't let that pain define me anymore." Toby reached for her hand, but she gently pulled away. "I hope you learn from this. I hope you become better." As she stood up to go, Nife saw something different in Toby's eyes. Not just guilt, but acceptance. He nodded. "I will." As she walked away from the cafe, a sense of freedom filled her chest. Forgiveness wasn't about erasing the past. It was about reclaiming her future. A month had passed since Nife chose forgiveness. At first, it felt strange, like learning how to walk again after an injury. But as the days went by, she found herself lighter, freer. The pain that had once consumed her no longer dictated her emotions. She threw herself into her work, but this time, it wasn't about distraction. It was about passion. She had always been ambitious, but now, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. She pitched new ideas, took on bigger projects, and started planning to expand her business. One evening, she attended a business networking event in Victoria Island. Dressed in a sleek emerald green gown, she exuded confidence as she introduced herself to industry leaders. It was there she met Daniel. He was a marketing executive, tall, with a warm smile and an easy charm. Unlike Toby, there was no air of arrogance about him, no hidden agenda in his eyes. Just sincerity. "You have a strong presence," he said after they'd spent a few minutes talking. "Like someone who knows exactly what she wants." Nife smiled. "I guess I do now." He raised an eyebrow. "Now?" She chuckled. "Let's just say it took a journey to get here." Over the next few weeks, Daniel became a constant presence in her life. He didn't rush her. He didn't push. He simply showed up, with kindness, with understanding. And for the first time in a long time, Nife allowed herself to enjoy someone's company without the fear of heartbreak lingering in the back of her mind. One evening, as they walked along the waterfront, Daniel turned to her. "You know, I really admire your strength. Not just in business, but in life. The way you carry yourself." Nife smiled. "I wasn't always this strong. But I've learned that life doesn't stop for heartbreak. We either let it break us, or we grow from it." He nodded. "And you've grown beautifully." As they stood there, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, Nife felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: peace. She wasn't just moving on from the past. She was stepping into a future she had built for herself. A future where she was no longer defined by betrayal or pain, but by her resilience, her strength, and her ability to love again. And for the first time in a long time, she was truly happy.